to the Wandering Dotterel.
This is not a dream.
There comes a time when we have to make a decision in our lives. Do we want to stay stuck in these terrible cycles of neglect that we put upon ourselves, that we don't take accountability for, that we say is not our problem? Take it from someone who knows, someone who's seen the devastating side effects of allowing bad actors into my life when I did know better. And I can't blame them for their own toxic cycles. But then also being a party to being a bad actor, being a bad influencer, being someone who has done what I spoke out about not to do before. It's a hard lesson to learn, but we have to hold ourselves accountable because people lose their lives over these sorts of things. And it's not funny. It's not funny to our families. It's not funny to our friends that actually care. And it's definitely not funny and doesn't feel good to those who are part of it. When dealing with the side effects of toxic cycles and narcissistic people, a person can lose everything: their family, their friends, their home, their job, their car, and their life.
Uh-oh.
And it happens more than people would like to discuss. There was a time in my young adulthood that proved to me that toxic environments were everywhere and that people were joining in because they thought it was fun. They thought it was how you made friends, that you would just walk into someone's house and they would have their stash sitting on the coffee table and say, "Come and join me. You don't need anything. You can get me back later. It's all good." And it's actually not good. It's actually not okay. I've seen children with diapers sagging down below their knees.
What?
I've seen kids with snot running down their faces and have not taken a bath for days or eaten properly because of the side effects of toxic cycles. And then I've also seen children abused and neglected and misunderstood and shifted around like I was. And then I ended up being the problem, the blame, the one who was trying to step outside of those toxic cycles. And if we don't recognize them early enough in our child's developmental stage, all hell will break loose later. Believe me when I say it. It will happen. And there are those children that will try to fight back because they know something's wrong. Like the time I thought I could stop my stepfather from smoking. He was a chain smoker. He had a pack of cigarettes in his coveralls and a pack in his hand and a pack in his pocket. And he would smoke and drink at the same rate. And it was terrifying. So one time I thought, I'm gonna fix this guy. I'm gonna help him out. He needs my help. And I got some German firecrackers at the time that you could light on fire. They were very small.
No.
And they were called loads. And I loaded up his cigarettes, his big 25 pack of Marlboro cigarettes with German loads. And he almost blew his face off. I felt horrible. But I was laughing on the inside at the time because I hated the smell. And I hated him being a predator. And I hated him touching me inappropriately and talking to me inappropriately and hurting my mother, I thought I would try to get him back.
Uh-oh.
And that was absolutely not okay. I'm not condoning that whatsoever. And I'm saying that is wrong. And I'm sorry for that behavior. But as children, we don't know any better, especially when we've been traumatized and immobilized in our own emotional feelings and how we're supposed to react to others. I was modeled the behavior, and therefore I reacted accordingly to how I had been taught. There have been multiple times in my life along the way where I've tried to stop the toxic cycles, and I thought I did a good job, but I was acting in a passive-aggressive manner, or completely out of control, or completely aggressive. Like the multiple times I took the beer outside and took an axe to it and chopped it into little pieces while everyone watched in horror. And I thought I was doing justice by destroying the supply. And then there were also times when I blew the whistle and started asking questions about what I had found in the secret hiding spot when people said they disagreed and hated the stuff that I found and that I was a liar and that I had made it up or it was planted by someone else.
What?
I've seen all of these things happen. I've also seen people rifle through other people's belongings to find something, to go into their medicine cabinet and to steal what they have just to get their fix. It's a terrible place to be, and I don't want any part of it anymore. I stand up for myself. I'm clean and sober, and this is not going to happen in my life anymore. I've learned my lesson the hard way. So I'm also understanding how I was raised in between two different drug cultures, the hippies and then the current type addicts, those that use the Xannies and the Neurontin and the Gabbies and the things that they think are cool, which they're not. And then back in the day, I watched my parents with their Reds and their alcohol and their cigarettes and the other illicit things that went on, like the angel dust and the cigarettes covered with controlled substances and the Cocoa Puffs and the things that were pushing me into my own addiction cycle, which was very toxic. And people thought it was funny. There was even a time when I was a kid when I was introduced to things that made me hallucinate, and everyone laughed at me. When my heart was palpitating and I was having a panic attack, they thought it was funny. And it wasn't funny. I was just a kid. But it taught me how to do what they did so that I could do it for myself and try to hide and try to sneak away and to cover up my pain and my trauma and my history. This is your host, the Dingy Dotterel. If we look to those legendary tales from Aesop's Fables, which I absolutely loved as a kid, we think about the crow and the pitcher, how the crow had to use his ingenuity, his knowledge, his understanding that if he was thirsty, he would have to do something about it, because the pitcher was quite low on water, and he didn't want to dump it over to get a drink because he would lose the water. And he was smart enough to know that if he dropped small pebbles in to raise the water level, he would therefore be able to get a drink. What I'm trying to say is if we use the wisdom we have, our street knowledge, our knowledge on how the toxic cycles work, because we're part of the enemy's camp when we're in that toxic cycle. And if we learn to use our knowledge and wisdom of that, why can't we create a better future for ourselves and step away in a healthy manner that everyone will benefit from? If I've learned anything, it's revenge, or wanting to get revenge.
What?
But as a humble person, I've chosen not to seek revenge. But it's like with Wuthering Heights when we see Heathcliff flailing at the wind, grasping for straws, because he can't deal with his own toxic behavior.
I pray one prayer. I repeat it till my tongue stiffens. Catherine Earnshaw, may you not rest as long as I am living.
Heathcliff, don't.
You said.
What I've learned throughout this whole experience is not to be the right fighter.
Ow! Ow!
If I end up in the company of an aggressor, of an abuser, of a narcissist, of those who are stuck in their own toxic cycles, I can't bring it up because a fight will ensue. They will be right and I will be wrong. I don't know anything. Which that's fine by me to let them have their own belief. But I know better. I will not put up with it anymore. I will not let these people in my bubble. I will not let them take free rent in my mind. They're not going to take up a habitation in my existence anymore. They're not going to be part of my journey. Especially if they don't choose to be. And if they choose to point fingers and blame me, that's on them. When I graduated from university after writing my thesis statement on the most crime-ridden city in the US and the addiction rate, the suicidal rate, the parasite rate, the homelessness, the veterans issue, the issue with toxic cycles that are corrupting whole cities, and seeing that from the perspective of someone who's struggled with toxic cycles their whole life, one would have to think, what gives? How can we change this? We have to change this one by one. We have to start telling our story, and we have to empower others to stop the cycle, whether it's walking out the door and never coming back, because we know that that cycle is going to unalive us. It's going to take our lives and our children away. It's going to make us unhappy and look old before our time, and make us lose our teeth, and make us lose body parts because we have to go to the hospital constantly to have something fixed. It's not a good place to be, and it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for society. And take it from a mom and grandma who's seen it all. I just ask you now, are you tired of those toxic cycles in your own life? How can you help yourself? And what is it that you can do to help others? And once again, thank you, Spotify. Welcome to the Wandering Dotterel.